All right. Good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting of October 24th, 2017 to order. Vin, can I have the roll call, please?
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Here.
Council Members Long.
Here.
Napolitani.
Here.
Shepherd.
Here.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Here, everybody please rise for a pledge of allegiance, and then please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer thereafter. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The notice requirement of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press Coaster, posted in Town Hall, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk on December 29th, 2016. There are two exits, one to my right, which will take you out to the front parking lot, and one to my left will also take you out to the parking lot, just meander down the hallway. If you have a cell phone, now's the time to please turn it off, or at least turn the volume off. If you need to keep it on to take pictures or anything like that, you're welcome to do that. If you need to make a phone call, kindly go out into the hallway and you can do that there. Okay, we don't have any ceremonies tonight. Before we get started, I'm going to just go down and get some council reports.
Couple things. Mayor's Ball this Saturday, the 28th. The funds from the Mayor's Charity Ball benefit the Mile and Terry Foundation and Community Hope Fund. We presently have well over 200 people attending. We still have a few seats that you can purchase at the door. There'll be bourbon tasting, cigar rolling, champagne tasting, gift auction, and entertainment by lights out. So it's going to be a great event this Saturday, being held at Buonasera Palazzo at the Greek Church. Second thing, I was invited to an interactive awareness event for parents, caretakers, teachers, community members. It was called Hidden in Plain Sight. It's for at-risk behavior students, teenagers, and it does a display of a teenager's bedroom. I'd like the possibility of getting our police department, or maybe Mike can look into trying to line this up in town with the amount of issues that we have going on with teenagers today. I think it would be a great idea if we can bring it into our town to see that display. I really wish I could have gone, because it's actually going on right now as we speak in Oceanport. But there is I believe there's a little bit of information on how to find out about it. So I'll check into that and then see if we can go through the police department or the town manager for that.
Good. Thank you, John. Donnie, you have anything for us?
Yes. On November 11th, we will be having our Veterans ceremony out here in front of Town Hall on the 11th, at 11 a.m. rather, on the 11th. And also, I just have a mind block as to what the other is. No idea.
All right.
I'll come back to it.
Rich,
Mind block here.
you have anything for us?
What else was there?
Yes, Mayor. As a member on the executive board of the Community Hope Fund, I'm going to be reminding the public again that we have begun our Thanksgiving food drive. We're asking Ocean's residents to please donate non-perishable items such as peanut butter, instant hot chocolate, jelly, cookies, fruit snacks, crackers, canned fruits and vegetables, soup, cereal, instant potatoes, tea, and coffee. We are making this collection at our Human Services office, which is on Deal Road. You may also make monetary gifts in the form of a check payable to the Community Hope Fund. The Community Hope Fund is a registered non-profit. If you are going to bring food donations to Human Services on Deal Road, please have them in by no later than Friday, November the 10th, because we have a group of people on the Community Hope Fund in conjunction with workers at our Human Services office, and we box these materials and we deliver them to needy families prior to Thanksgiving. Also at this time, I'm going to bring up once again something that I brought up this past August the 3rd, and it is in the spirit of genuine problem solving. I reach out to all of you in the viewing audience at home who will be watching this eventually, and to all of you here in attendance tonight. Please take advantage of your opportunities to help us, the mayor and council, do our jobs. If you have a question, a problem, a concern, a dilemma, come here and meet with Mayor Siciliano. He's available to meet with you. If you don't wish to meet with the mayor, you can come to our work sessions, which generally begin at 5 p.m. We meet publicly at 7 p.m., but you do not have to wait until the 7 p.m. meeting to bring up your question or your problem or your concern. If you have a solution or a remedy to deal with any problem, you do not have to wait until the public portion, this portion of the council meeting. Instead, bring your solution to a personal meeting with the mayor. He's a very friendly guy, very affable guy. He's met with hundreds of people since he became mayor in January of 2015. We are Ocean's partners with its citizens to govern our town. Come to our work sessions. Have a cup of coffee. Mr. Geiger occasionally comes and he brings us donuts. It's wonderful. Offer your suggestions and solutions. Please meet with the mayor, meet with us, work with us, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Good message. Thank you, Rich. Rob, have anything for us?
Mr. Mayor, attended the planning board meeting last night. We had some memorializations. The development that's going up at the end of Cindy Lane was memorialized. We did a quick approval for some improvements at Dr. Albaum's facility on Highway 35, and then 2 minor site plan approvals to move some trees. That was the extent of the planning board meeting. It was relatively quick.
Thank you.
That's it.
Mr. Machillo can't be with us tonight. He had a family situation he had to get to. We'll see him at the next meeting. If you need anything from Mr. Machillo, have questions for him, feel free to call his office in the morning. He'll be in there. Marty, you have anything for us?
My condolences to my fellow Yankee fans.
Okay.
It was a great year, and we'll get them next year.
Thank you. All right, just to remind folks that we're going to do our November and December, we'd like to honor our veterans here in Town Hall at a public meeting. So they're going to come in November 9th meeting. We'll have them here. And also at the December meeting. We have these forms that will be online. They can fill these out. Some of you have done this before, Mr. Geiger and several others. And it's great because we get folks come up and they share their stories with us about their service. And we've had folks come as far back as World War II come up and they had some fantastic stories. And they're archived actually and taped on our meetings. If you go to our website, you can see some of them. One, just for example, we had a fellow there that was Audie Murphy's drill instructor. Audie Murphy was a renowned war hero in World War II, kind of like a Sergeant York fellow, if you will. Another gentleman was actually on a ship in Pearl Harbor as it was being bombed. He told his story. Others had, some difficult stories, but they all came up and shared, and some of them really just fascinating stories. So we encourage our veterans. We'd like to honor you, hear from you, anywhere up till present, whatever your service is. Come on in, tell your story. So those forms will be online for you. Also, our Super Senior Lunch is on November 2nd this year at the Renaissance. Is the second year that we started this. And the super seniors are folks who are 90 and above. We like to honor them as well and give them something, give them a free meal over a really nice one. We have about 90 in attendance this year. So we have some folks 90 and a couple of folks over 100. So it's just a great event. So that's growing, very popular. Before we open up to the public, I'm just going to read in a statement. The purpose of the public statement portion is to solely ask questions to understand resolutions that appear on this agenda. It is not an occasion for a public hearing on an ordinance. All questions not related to an agenda item should be asked during the public portion at the conclusion of the meeting. If anybody has any questions or anything relating to the consent agenda or the resolutions, please come up to the microphone now and state your name and address. If you have a general comment, not related to that, but related to township business, at the end of the meeting, you'll have an opportunity to do that as well. So anything on resolutions, come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Mr. Geiger, come on up, identify yourself.
I have to get out my wallet to see who I am. Don Geiger, 1108 Grassmere Avenue, on 17-222. Is that going to cost us anything for getting rid of that stuff? And if so, how much?
Oh,
electronic stuff.
no, this is our e-waste disposal.
Right.
So we just have it taken away, but.
No cost.
No.
Okay. Glad to hear that. On 17225 is, because it seems like it's for more than 1 year. Because it says so much per year. In the other.
Oh, yes,
Yeah. How many years?
4.
Okay. And it can be terminated if we feel that they're not doing the right job or the job we want
that's
done?
whatever's in their RFP agreement. If they're not doing the right job, of course.
Okay,
terminate
just
them.
want to know. And out of curiosity on the ordinance, how many, I mean, I know it, I got it. How much, how much did it cost us to mail out the certified letters?
Okay,
You
so
want to know?
Yeah, I do.
I paid.
are you the ordinance? First of all, we'll talk about the ordinance when we get to ordinance.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay,
I can wait.
but Vin, if you care to weigh in on the
No,
postage,
that's all right.
About $2,100.
Should make people pick them up.
I think they're here because they don't want to pay anything more than the postage. I'm pretty sure. Okay, anybody else on resolutions that appear on the agenda, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing and hearing nobody, somebody please offer resolutions. We have here at 17:22. Oh, first, please offer the workshop meetings for September 28th through October 12th. Somebody please offer the minutes.
I'll
Second.
second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, and also we have resolution 17-222 through 17-224. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, and tonight we have resolution 17-225, authorize the award of a contract for real property data collection and verification services in accordance with the assessment demonstration program to Appraisal Services, Inc., Morristown, New Jersey. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
No.
Council members Long,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Sosiano.
No. Also, we have ordinance number, for adoption, we have ordinance number 2302. Then we read the title.
A bond ordinance providing for various improvements appropriating $1,410,000 and authorizing the issuance of $1,339,500 bonds or notes to finance a portion of the cost and directing the special assessment of those costs.
Okay, anybody wishing to be heard on ordinance number, or someone please open the public hearing on ordinance number 2302 first.
I'll open the public hearing.
Second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Chair,
Yes.
Council members Long,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Sosiano.
Yes, anybody wishing to be heard on ordinance number 2302, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Tom Dunphy, 1109 Ramier Avenue. On behalf of everybody here, I guess I'd like to thank you for spending the 2100 on the mail. We do appreciate being notified. I have my thoughts written down. I'll post them on the Ocean Cares Facebook page as well for all of our neighbors who couldn't be here. Pretty simple. I think no matter how the mayor and council want to spin this, 2302 is a tax increase for the residents affected on the affected streets. And it's written right in the ordinance. The capital budget of the township is hereby amended to conform with the provisions of this ordinance. The original allocation in the township's 2017 adopted budget was $830,895 for capital improvements. The new appropriation, $1.41 million, is a 70% increase. The only logical conclusion to draw is that the originally adopted budget was a sham.
Okay.
I think the governing body might have been afraid to introduce a budget with a significant capital improvement component and the associated tax increase, so you pass a sham budget knowing you'd just go back later in the year and amend it anyway. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous here.
That's all right.
I don't do a lot of public speaking.
Take your time.
Ocean Township is not a condo association. Funding capital improvements through special assessments, backdoor tax increases, it's deceitful, it's disingenuous. It's a fundamentally unjust way to finance capital projects, and I think it's got to stop. I'm aware from my phone conversation with the clerk that this is just the way that things are done here. And I think on behalf of a lot of people in the town, I'm saying, let's do it different.
Okay.
I think do it right. Budget for these things at the end of the year. You know, you're gonna put together a budget for 2018. You're gonna present it to the public. These capital projects should be involved in that. I think there's sort of an idea that there's an inherent benefit for the homeowners whose sidewalks, aprons, and curbs are going to be replaced, and that we should bear the costs alone. By that logic, should residents who don't send their kids to the schools pay for school taxes? Should residents who don't use the township's parks or recreation programs or the library or the other public facilities be allowed to opt out of supporting those things? The answer is no. It's obvious. So the same logic should really apply in this situation, I think. Yeah, and the idea that the sidewalks, aprons, and curbs are somehow adding value, increasing our property values, is ridiculous, frankly. So before that goes too far along, and I guess the idea too behind all this is that the problem with the sewer system was unforeseen. We couldn't have budgeted for it in 2017 because how would we know that we'd have all these sewage problems? How wouldn't you know? We have an engineer. Every town in Monmouth County has a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. They have an idea of, hey, this is all the stuff that needs to get done down the line, and then they budget for it, and then they do it. They don't go around the back door and stick their hand in somebody's pockets because they're afraid of introducing a budget with a tax increase in it. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Very good. Well said. I'll answer you to say that we have an ongoing capital improvement in roads program. So this doesn't mean it's going to be a tax increase. And we dedicate over $2 million a year to that. So this is part of that. So this will all be lumped in there. Additionally, we are getting a reimbursement from the TOSA to finish some of these roads because they did go in and did some work. So none of this is going to result in a tax increase to you outside of this special assessment for the curbs and sidewalks.
The assessment is a tax.
But this is something we account for in our municipal budget. Every year, the $21 million we raise by taxation, this number will be included in that number this year as well. This will not exceed that. We can't go above the budget. There's a 2% cap anyway, so we couldn't go to that number if we wanted to, right? So the amount raised by taxation, we account for that. We account for road improvements. It's an ongoing program to get the 126 miles of roads done every year. There's a lot of it to do, so much gets done each year. So this is in there. This is not the fact that we're doing the bonding. We're bonding for this now to get the work done for the 2018 season. Doesn't mean we get you with a tax increase of $1.4 million. That's not what this represents.
So my property tax bill.
Could you do me a favor? Could you please come up?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, we're gonna have a conversation. Everything's taped.
All
Yeah.
that stuff.
So then my property tax bill, I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's, in the between 6 and 7 range.
Mm-hmm.
This 2,700 is accounted for it in there.
It's already in the budget.
Yeah. We packed it in.
Okay.
All right, and this year we're going to adopt a new budget. We're going to also have capital improvement, and next October we'll be doing the same thing, introducing the bonding for that.
Okay.
Okay. It's I understand your questions. You haven't been involved in it before, but when you want to come, when we have our budget meetings, come on, and you'll see, and that'll be all explained there. Anybody else for the ordinance? This is for the ordinance only. Anything else you can do after, because we're opening up for this.
Neil Weizenkorn, 1129 Darlene Avenue.
Mhm.
I have a question about the ordinance specifically. In Section 5, Paragraph G, states that the payments by the owner shall not exceed 10 annual installments.
Mhm.
Does this mean that the special assessment will be spread over 10 years?
5 years.
5 years, but the
5
ordinance
years.
says 10.
Up to 10.
Up to 10.
Mhm.
Okay, so that stays at 5. What happens in case a property owner does not want the work done? Doesn't
So
want the curbs? and the
everybody here was
papers?
notified because you're in the assessment district. Doesn't mean 100% of the work's going to be done on every sidewalk pad and every curb. What will happen is it'll be evaluated, and you can come into the clerk's office and they can tell you exactly what the scope of work is for your particular property. And I think that's kind of the misgiven. Folks think, well, I have to do the entire sidewalk pads.
Well,
or all
what
the
I'm saying
curbs.
is if the engineer says I need all my curbs done, and I do not want the curbs done, will they be done anyway, even over my objection?
Well, depends on the condition of them. I mean, if they're deteriorate to where it's going to compromise the engineering of the roads, then we're going to have another conversation about it.
Okay, all right. Now, what, also, if it's spread over 5 years, what is the interest rate on the spread?
It's usually less than 1%,
Less
around
than-
that 1%.
Less than 1%?
It's
How
been
much
consistently
less?
around 1%.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome, Neil. Anybody else?
Mr. Todd, 1017 Grassmere Avenue. And I just had my curbs and sidewalks done, my driveway apron done, like 3-4 years ago,
Okay.
which I had to pay for, which mine were, at that point, and I have pictures, the township has pictures, my curbs were fine, to answer his question. My curbs were fine at that time, but township told me that I had to replace them so that they would be all in the
Same
same,
profile?
every curb would be identical. Mine were the right height and everything else, but I still had to pay for it. I just got done paying for my curbs and my driveway apron. Now, you want to do it again a couple years later?
Yeah, if yours are still in that kind of shape, I'm
And
going
our
to tell
whole,
you.
our whole street was done.
Yeah.
The whole street
If
was
they're,
done.
if they're in good shape, they're not going to be.
Why would you send a letter and spend all the
'Cause
postage
there's
on
some
it?
Everybody
folks-
had to be notified.
You have to notify
Yeah, but our
everybody.
whole street was done. All they'd had to do is take a look down the street and say, we don't need to send a letter to these homeowners because they're all
You're-
done a couple years ago. We just got done paying for it just a year ago. We just
You're on
got done paying for it.
Grassmere, you said 1019?
1017 Grassmere Avenue.
1017, okay.
And
We'll
the
take-
whole
we'll
block,
take a
the
look
whole
at it.
block was done. So
All
they could have saved postage, and it doesn't make any sense to rip them all up again.
We're not going to,
Ripping them all up again, I think the idea is, if they've just been done, and there's a district, so they send notice.
Doesn't the township know that they were just done?
Let him finish.
And
Let him,
notice-
let him answer the question.
They send notice to everyone who's in that district.
Right.
And then someone goes in and looks at them, and if they've just been done, or if they're brand new, whatever, you're not gonna get a letter indicating that they're doing your repairs. So there's gonna be a second letter that goes out that will then have an evaluation on each individual property. Is that correct, Vinnie?
so far.
Each individual property is reviewed. There'll be a separate letter that goes out indicating what, if any, exposure you have. Based on what you're saying,
Let me jump in
you
here.
Okay.
on your
Go
blocks
ahead.
won't have any payment to make.
Vin's going to set it straight, because you're partially right about
Yeah,
something.
just so
That
everybody
makes sense.
knows, what'll happen is that by the end of this week, everybody in the assessment district, okay, will get a second letter from me. In that, it'll have a breakdown of what the estimated cost is for your specific property. Now, some of you may get a letter and the estimated cost is zero. You know, I don't know whether that gentleman has any work slated at his property or not. But because you're in that assessment district, you're by law required to get a certified letter from me telling you about the ordinance. So sit tight, wait for that second letter. That'll break down what the proposed estimated cost is for your specific property. Also in that letter, the township's going to have 2 meetings, one on November 1st, one on November 8th. In that letter, we'll identify what night you should come. You'll have the opportunity to talk to the township engineer, the finance officer, and the township manager if you have any concerns about the proposed work on your property. So that second letter is going to give you a lot more information than what this initial first letter gave you. And that should go out by the end of this week.
But just to clarify, so this initial letter then is by statute.
Correct.
It has to go to everybody in the district.
Correct.
Regardless of whether you need, I'm told I don't speak into the microphone. Regardless of whether you need to have work done or not.
Correct.
Then eventually, you'll get the second letter, and that'll give you more information.
And that also will go to every single person who got that initial first letter, regardless of whether or not any work is slated on your property. But you'll see that in the letter. So if, I'll use Mr. Geiger as an example, if he's on one of the streets and he is not having any work done in front of his house, he will still get that letter. It'll just have a zero balance. If somebody's having work done, it'll break it down by sidewalks, driveway apron, and curbing, and what the potential estimated cost for each one of those. So it'll give you a lot more information, and that, the letter you initially got was basically just to tell you about the adoption of the ordinance. The second letter is going to give you more information specific about your property.
Great. Thank you for that,
And
Vin.
by statute, we're obligated to send that by certified mail.
Part of the operating costs of a
Geiger, that's why it
municipality.
costs that much money.
That's factored into our operating costs. Municipalities have things we probably wouldn't do at home. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Fred Kurzweil, 1122 Brower Boulevard. I think the gentleman before me already covered the same thing that I was going to cover, and I think you answered some of those questions. First of all, Mr. Mayor, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
And the rest of the council members. Because we just had our curbs done on Brower Boulevard just about 18 months ago. In fact, we're still paying for it, as a matter of fact. And
No
I'd
work.
hate for them to, do that again. So I think that we already plowed that field.
Yeah.
But one of the things, sir, that I would like to bring up is that I had a meeting in your office about 3 weeks ago. Maybe you
Right.
remember it.
Yep.
And you said that starting in 2019, that the curbing was going to be taken care of. So I don't understand why we're adopting this if in another year and a half from now that we wouldn't have to pay for it. Can you explain that?
Yeah, because that hasn't happened yet, and it's something that's never been done before. And I think, as a mayor, I'm proposing that to the council, that going forward, this is already included in our budget. We can't stop it. It's here. We're accounted for it. This was already in the 2018 budget. Going forward, I'm going to propose that we take the curbing out. We assume the responsibility ourselves. Something nice I'm trying to do for the town. I can't roll back the clock, unfortunately. I wish I could. And I wish all the other mayors maybe would have done it, but nobody has done it. I'm trying to do something positive going forward for the town.
Okay, so just to summarize, since I had my curb done a year and a half ago, it probably won't be done a second time. Is this
No,
correct?
no.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Fred. You're welcome. Anybody else? I don't see there's more.
You have a whole line of us.
That's fine. We're here all night.
Sue Zielinski, 1005 Rainier, and I'm confused.
Okay.
The first gentleman spoke about this being an additional tax to us. You said it's not, yet we're paying for it.
The assessment part, the portion of the curb and sidewalks.
Right, so.
That would be the additional
on
tax.
top of our more than 20% tax increase we just got, now we have to pay for our curbs. So it's more taxes that we are paying out of pocket, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is an additional tax.
Well,
We
this
don't
gen-
have the right to say
No,
no to this tax?
Sure, you can say no to it. This gentleman asked about the entire amount being a tax, an additional tax onto the budget. You're in a special assessment program, so your portion of your curb and your sidewalks is an additional tax. It's been that way since I was in high school. I didn't make that up.
But
I'm
he
just
didn't
saying-
ask the same question?
No.
No, he did not.
Okay.
He asked it
I
differently.
wanted to know if the $1.4 million was being taxed on top of what our current budget is. It is not. It's included in that.
Okay, so we're saying that each of us is going to end up paying at least $1,500 for curbs only.
Depends on how much
And then
work.
it may be
Depends
more
on how
than
much
that.
work you have done. And again, going forward, I'm trying to pull that out. Down the road, we're going to try to absorb that cost, but it's been that way since they've been doing road programs. It's not something
Do we have
invented.
the ability to do it ourselves?
No.
Why?
Because we have a contract with a, I mean, you could try. I don't think you're going to get the price. Look, if you want to try to do it yourself, as long as it meets our standards and our engineering specs, you probably could do that.
Okay, and
But
there
you'd
would
have
be
to
no
run
problem
it.
with
You'd
it.
have to meet our engineer and sit with him and show him what your work's going to be done. Have your contractor meet with him and say, "Yep, I can do it just the way it's going to be done here." It has to be congruent. You just can't have different work by different contractors unless they can meet the exact same specs. That's fine.
Well, we've had no problems with curbs for the past 5 years
Okay.
that we've been here. So this is now all of a sudden become an issue. Is this an issue because of the road work that is not being taken care of?
No, anytime that we do road work, we pave, like I said, there's 126 miles of roads, and we try to do 5% of them a year. When we do the roads that have curbs and sidewalks, we evaluate the condition of the curbs and sidewalks to make sure the road work we're going to be done will hold up and it's engineered properly. The sidewalks is a condition of safety hazard for your own good because you know on your homeowner's insurance you're responsible if somebody trips and falls on your sidewalk. So these are always put into the program where we're doing roads and there's sidewalks and curbs. We call it a what you're in the assessment district, you'll get a notification that we're going to assess the condition of your curbs and sidewalks to see if they're going to need repair.
So this is a precursor to you paving the roads
Yes.
that were dug up.
Yes.
Is there a timetable on when these roads will be paved?
These are all scheduled for the spring of 18.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Weather permitting.
Henry Callahan, 1007 Rainier Avenue. 18 years ago, I moved into Ocean. JCP&L wanted to remove 2 trees that were in between the curb and the sidewalk. I've since removed the sidewalk because I had the sidewalk going to nowhere. I paid $11,000 for a new driveway. Who's paying for the trees to get removed if you're going to put a sidewalk
We
in
do.
front of my house?
We take care of that.
Okay. Because 18 years ago, JCP&L would have done it for free. But the township said, no, we're Tree City, we can't do that. And they're sweet gums, they're for shit trees,
Right.
no harm.
What kind of trees?
Sweet gum, shit trees.
That's what I thought. But he's a Yankee fan, and he's allowed to say that.
And he's still got his jacket on. That's
It's okay.
You know,
Yeah,
why do we need sidewalks on both sides of the street?
Near the school, I think a while back, there was a push to have safe sidewalks to get kids that walk. There's a big walking district where you are to.
There really
Monmouth
isn't, not
school.
on Raymere.
Nobody walks to school from there?
2 kids.
But that's now.
No, I know.
As we have
neighborhoods
turnover,
change.
that may change.
I understand that, but, I mean, they put in a sidewalk 2 years ago on the other side.
Yeah, we got a grant for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get screwed because we didn't get sidewalks on our side of the street.
I understand.
It's very frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Next.
Alicia Thompson, 1001 Interlaken. Just question about, we're a corner property, so I'm Interlaken, but I'm facing Interlaken and I have a secondary side on Darlene. What does this project mean for me as far as cost?
They calculate the fat corner lots and ones at bullnose and things like that, so there's an adjustment made on your calculations.
Okay, is that something that's public that we know at this point?
Yeah, you can meet with, I don't know if they have the numbers in yet. If they do, yeah, you can come down to the clerk's office and take a look at the
Okay,
numbers.
as to what that is. We also, when the property was created, we have trees on, say within 3 feet of our sidewalk, which is what's making our sidewalk come up. What does that mean as far as if you're replacing those to flatten it out? Are we taking tree roots out and then risking my trees falling on my house or on the street?
They'll evaluate both the tree and the root. The root most likely, they're going to flush the sidewalks out. So if the roots are heaving,
Significantly.
yeah, they'll guarantee those roots are gone.
So
And if
then
they're
my
gonna
trees are
compromise-
gone?
If it's going to kill the tree, they'll make a determination at that time, then they'll probably take it out.
At my cost or
No,
at their
our-
cost?
Our cost.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Anthony Delomo with 4 Judith Court, Ocean. I have a couple of questions. I called the other day and I spoke to, I believe, Vincent about the special assessment. He said that if I had an objection, I'd come here tonight and speak to the engineer and find out, why I'm being assessed at the amount of $5,200 when you're saying now that this is a prerequisite and I'll get another letter telling me what it is.
You-
Well, how did they come up with 40 square yards of one thing and 16 yards of something else before it even happens?
Right, they just probably measured your entire property without even looking at it, that this is how much you have, doesn't mean it's all gonna be done. And then on the 1st and the 8th, they're having meetings, that you guys will also sit with the engineer, and you can go over your own evaluation or assessment of your sidewalks and curbs. And you can kind of go back and forth on what pads you think need to be done, or how the condition of the curbing, so.
So we have that choice later.
Yeah, just because you got the letter, Mr. Longwood, doesn't mean all that work's being done.
Because I went out there for the first time and said, Jesus, where the hell are these cracks? I don't see nothing in here.
No, you might be in good shape over there.
Okay.
Judith is on our road paving program because of the work TOSA had done. You probably weren't scheduled to be done that quickly, but I had an issue with the repair work that they did. It made it look like piano keys. And I thought, you know what, it's best that we just accelerate the paving program. We'll include your area this year. And because you have curbs and sidewalks, again, you get that letter. Doesn't mean they're all going to be
As long as we
replaced.
get another shot later on.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, the 1st and the 8th, folks, a lot of you will be meeting with the engineer if you have time. Come on up.
Good evening. Pat Mahan, 1105 Darlene Avenue. Or sorry, 1107. So you guys answer a lot of questions. I think just in the future, if this is going to happen in different parts of the town.
Every year.
Okay. I know statutorily you have to certify the mail. It might have helped calm a lot of anxieties if you guys put a little pamphlet, a little piece of paper in there that says it's not guaranteed that you have this piece of mail that you're actually going to get work. That might have helped. That would have been very much appreciated. Similar to some of the other gentlemen that spoke tonight, I moved in 4 years ago. I had the apron widened on my own. You have permits filed, so maybe you could look those up to let some of us know. So with that being said, since I've already paid for my stuff, I also didn't have my sewer replaced for some reason, so I got to have that lovely damage throughout the weeks and without even getting any kind of benefits. So that was awesome. So just a couple quick questions. Who's going to be the person evaluating or the people evaluating this? Is this at least within our own town, so we're paying our own people?
Township engineer.
Okay. Who's the company that's going to be installing it? Do we know that yet?
Well, we have to bid that out.
Okay, so you said you have a contract earlier. That's the only reason.
Well, I'm talking about last year's contract. You use one contractor for bidding purposes. So whoever successful bidder is, he'll have specs put together.
Okay.
Going by what the
Burke did mine and my neighbor, and he gave us a deal since we did more.
Should last for a long time.
I would imagine you guys probably do something similar. So since I just had most of my blocks and my apron done, my question is kind of twofold. So what happens to people who do have theirs replaced if something does go wrong down the line? What if there is damage? What if somebody does fall? Is that now on the homeowner to replace the concrete that you guys have contracted out? And then kind of twofold with that. So let's say, because I know my neighbor, that block is definitely jacked up. So if and when they replace my neighbor's block, if they damage my block and I wasn't originally assessed to have any work done,
we'll fix it.
That's not going to fall on me, correct?
No.
Okay. Thank you for your time tonight, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Maybe take that advice.
All right. Thank you. The letter must be scary, Vin. What's it say?
It really only talks about the ordinance. The second letter will tell you this is an estimated cost, but this is just specifically for the ordinance.
Hello.
Next question for Vinny.
I'm done.
Delafave.
You're not. Got it. Yes, sir.
Jim Delafave from 2 Isel.
2 Isel.
I had some questions about, we're being charged, would it be charged per house or for the footage, the frontage?
So this goes by square footage in yards.
That we're being, that we will be used. And how long will this special assessment be on us?
Well, it's up to, you can pay it all up front if you want, or it's up to 5 years, Vin?
It's up to 10, but we're going to do it
Up
over
to
a
10.
5-year payback.
Okay.
5-year payback. And so these notes and this bond, is a 10-year that you're getting, or 20-year bonds?
Our bond's 10.
10. All right, so I would have to talk to, if something was getting done at my house, the next meeting would tell me what,
The scope of
if
work.
anything that you
Yeah.
had. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just so you folks, I'll clear something up. The reason one of the young lady asked if she can have the work done herself independently, maybe, it's gonna be hard to beat the price of a contractor that's doing miles of road work, though. I'll just point that out. Historically, many folks have tried and gotten estimates and they couldn't come near it. Because you have to imagine they're bidding on a big job in municipality. So typically, I'm not gonna say 100%, but typically you're not gonna get a better deal or better price. Also, the work that was done by TOSA was done independently of the township. Township council, mayor, none of us had anything to do with that. It's an authority, it's not a utility. They operate independently and, we're glad that we have them. But they're the ones, if you have any questions or issues with TOSA, the scope of their work, they have monthly meetings as well. Bob?
My name is Bob Cleary, and I live at 9 Isel Avenue, the stepchild of Ocean Township.
You got
As
noticed,
Isel, I'll tell you.
but it got noticed thanks to TOSA.
Yeah. Well, they also have chipped the heck out of all my curbs, and now do we get a rebate when they come to fix them now, or do we give it? Can we go after TOSA or
whoever chipped them? I would go after them.
Well, it wasn't TOSA; it was their contractor.
Oh, you mean recently?
When they just did those piano stripes that you're talking about?
Yeah.
The end of
When they
piano
cut
stripe?
into your curb for the laterals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, but driveway, they took the end of the section off. They took a piece of the curb right out. They came back and threw this nasty looking dirt with seed that never grows.
Well, a lot of folks had sections of their curb replaced by that contractor, Lucas.
I saw that too.
I strongly recommend just, when we come around and do them all at once, it'll look cleaner. I
Well,
saw
can
the
we-
patches, it didn't look great, but
So we can arbitrate that?
I would go to their meeting and see what you can do.
I have to go to their meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, can I
That- 'cause
arbitrate
that's
that?
their
Can we
contractor.
arbitrate that with the municipal, with your when you come up with the prices for the stuff we have to have done?
That would be asunder from this. I think you need to still go to their meeting, get it, if you can get a credit from them, then you can come into us so we can apply it that way.
Okay, and for all those nice people on Izell Avenue over there, we haven't been tarred in 30 years.
This should be good news.
30 years, and you're telling me you're doing it every 5 years.
No. I said we have 126 miles of road. We do 5% a year.
Oh, 5% a year.
Right, over a 20-year period.
Okay. That's way overdue. That's 20. You should have the town done.
I wasn't mayor then.
20 days. You're doing a great job, by the way, Chris.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
And
I have a lot of help.
I'm just sit here and look pretty.
I know.
Not even doing that well.
I know.
I know. Well, hold on. We'll have to kiss him and say goodbye. Thank you very much for your time.
Good. Thanks, Bob. Good seeing you.
Heather,
You can lower
Heather
that.
McKnight.
Lower that?
11
You can lower that.
Oh, sure.
Hey.
We spoke, Heather, right? Or we emailed. We did something.
1137 Interlaken Avenue.
Oh, 37.
Interlaken Avenue was repaved after gas lines were put in 2010. Curbs are done, driveway aprons. It's only 2017.
Mhm.
How are we guaranteed that this work will last more than that? I called the tax collector. He's told me my curbs need to be replaced. They're cracked. They just crack. They don't just crack. They're supposed to last more than that.
So what'll happen is, I think I mentioned to you that they'll evaluate, just again, like Mr. Buttiglieri had mentioned, that you received a letter because you're in the district, doesn't mean all the work's going to be done. They'll evaluate your work. And if your curbs and aprons, sidewalks are still good, you won't need as much or any of the work done. Depends on the condition.
Yeah, the tax collector told me I did.
Well, the tax collector doesn't do the work over there, so I don't know why they told you that. I think they were speaking in general, maybe. But we'll look at that. We have some level of responsibility or liability from our contractor. Makes a guarantee. I don't know if it's 20 years. That's just our program is 20 years. We try to get that much out of it.
And my second question is about the tree. When I moved in, the sidewalk was horrible. I had a gigantic tree. It was done so that it didn't crack. Hasn't cracked nothing in 15 years. You're saying that if you have to remove the tree, you're going to pay for it, or is it going to get stuck on my sidewalk?
No.
Because
If we determine a tree has to come down, just like work we've done on Logan 2 years ago, there were some trees we had to take out. We'll take them out.
because I know that's a $3,000 tree to take down.
Yeah, that'll probably be okay. That'll stay there. I'm only serious. That'll probably come down.
But that's not gonna be added on.
No.
Not until the December meeting. No, we do. We'll take, if it has to come down, we'll take it out.
All right, thank you.
A pleasant evening to each of you. Tom Duran, 1113 Rainier Avenue. You mentioned that the apron, the sidewalk, and the curb will be inspected, and then I will receive an assessment what needs to be taken care of. When will this inspector or this engineer come?
The 1st and the 8th, I think, Vin said, right? They're coming out?
Well, that's for the meeting.
Yeah,
For the
That's for the
meeting. So,
they've identified what work needs to be done in front of every house. On the 1st and on the 8th is when, in the letter, it'll tell you what night to come to talk to the engineer, and he'll go through your specific property and tell you what needs to be done.
Thank you. Just answered my second question. How do I know which November 1 and number 8?
It'll be in that letter.
The letter will tell me accordingly.
Yes.
Thank you.
okay. And when you come in that night, they'll have your, little survey of your area there. They'll look at your sidewalk. You can come up one-on-one and visit with the engineer, and he'll identify your sidewalk, your curb, and you can go over piece by piece with them, just so you know what scope of work is.
Thank you.
Okay?
Hi, Ron Grab, 15 Izell Avenue. We're talking about the curbs.
15.
Last year, during the snowstorm, on the south, where the curb meets the driveway apron, used to be like this. Well, the plow hit it, and now it's not the same shape. Perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. It just kind of
Change the profile.
Changed the profile, a little rough, but it's fine. And then with the recent work done in the sewer, my sewer line comes in at the north end of the driveway apron. So now the north end of the curb.
They clip that.
So they're kind of similar. Now, am I going to end up having to pay to get the curb taken care of because they're now no longer what they used to be?
Again, I have to look at it just to see what the profile is. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but it sounds like they got clipped pretty good.
Yeah, well, the plow hit it, and
Yeah.
some of the debris was left. So, do I have to Ocean Township for hitting it with the plow?
I think that's. I think they're covered under some claim there, right, Marty?
Something, huh? Yeah, but I'm
He'll
just
look
saying,
it up.
and I don't think that's
Oh.
probably unusual. Let's face it, coming down the street in the snow and.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what happened over where they're putting the sewer line in, but same thing. I looked at it and I thought, well, it doesn't really look that bad, so.
Again, when you sit with the engineer, he'll identify it for you and see what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be paying for it. I didn't do it.
Right.
And we know who did. All right, well, we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Let's go to the
Hello, my name's Harry Hansen. I'm at 1005 Rainier Avenue. My curb, I understand, has to be changed because right now it's just a piece of wood. From the owners before me. But does every street require 2 sidewalks, one on each side?
No, again, I think that area that you're talking about near Wanamassa School, there is a safe sidewalk grant a few years ago that we applied for, and so the ones on the other sides were probably thrown in that. In some instances, the neighborhoods were built that way.
So it's just one sidewalk a block then?
Yeah, I mean, some of them have them, some don't. Some have none.
Right, I understand, but you don't require 2. One on each side.
Requiring, but if they're there, we're gonna repair them.
Right, there is nothing. That's what.
Oh, there's not one. We're not gonna build a new one. If that's what you're
Right, that's my question.
Oh no.
Okay.
Nope.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Unless the person in front of that house wants it built. Okay.
Next.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Vic Zabat. I live at 1118 Jeffrey Avenue. I just wanted to repeat and possibly clarify what you just explained. There will be 2 meetings in November, which will be which the property owners in the what you're calling the assessment district will be requested to attend. Now,
just one meeting.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well, one meeting for every. The assessment for the sidewalk and driveway aprons comes in rather close succession to the increase in property taxes. I remember I was just here back in late summer because the 20%, 15% increase in property tax.
Depends on depends on the house. Just to clear that up, folks, there wasn't a 20% tax increase townwide. In fact, 4,207 homes went down. So if your home went above, the entire township had a 15% evaluation increase. So we adjusted the rate. We lowered it by 15% to kind of make it net neutral. We didn't have a municipal tax increase. However, if your property value went up above 15%, you had a tax increase because of the valuation only. So I just wanted to clear that. I don't want folks leaving there thinking, gee, the town just hit us for a 20% increase. That didn't happen. We still took in the same levy last year as the year before and about the same the year before that. So.
Yeah, but again.
But yes, for someone like you, it was an increase.
There will still be properties who will experience an increase in property taxes, and B, an assessment to pay for the sidewalks and driveway aprons to be rebuilt. Okay. And you said that there will be an opportunity to discuss the scope of work with the township engineer. Right. And is there still an opportunity to discuss the property taxes.
2018.
You know, you can have, you'll probably get a new card again in December of 2018, just verifying this is your value of your home. If you disagree with that, by January 15th, you can file an appeal.
Yeah, I believe that there were several, if not many, property owners whose counter-argument was that no significant improvements were done on their properties. And
Absolutely, they can come in and appeal.
And therefore, the the increase in appraisals were...
Revaluation.
Yeah.
Revaluation.
Yes, some of the cards, if there was an error, we gave folks an opportunity. If you missed that opportunity period, then you can get to come back in for this year coming up, and you can certainly appeal.
All right. And then you said that there will be a 5-year period to pay the assessment?
Yes.
All right. And that'll be concurrent with property tax collection, no?
Yeah, it's put on the third quarter, or is it?
No, we bill you, depending on when the assessment gets confirmed, we will bill you each year. It could be, it's any month during the year. We try not to do it on tax quarters. We try to split it out on different, just to give you a break. We don't want to hit you on top of property tax with the assessment.
Well, we are being hit already, so.
Right.
Do the best we can.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mark Fowler, 30 Lake Drive. As one of the residents who's being hit with a 36% tax increase, I will be appealing my taxes in 2018. I did want to pick up, though, on this assessment for just this item. When we get our tax bills, is it going to be itemized on that?
No, it's a separate bill.
It's a totally separate bill, so anybody down the road will not necessarily see that item. What happens if we sell our house?
Okay, so great question, because it's happened, and folks come in, and typically when you're selling your house, the buying attorney will do a tax search, and then they'll find out that there's been a special assessment, and then here's what it is, and here's the payments going forward. So you'll either negotiate that with the buyer, agree to pay it, they'll agree to pay it, it'll come up.
But it'd be totally separate from...
Yeah, that's on you guys to work out.
Mr. Mayor, I thought when you were talking about the overall work and the appearance, something sort of triggered in my mind that the sidewalks in my house, I don't know how old they are, they're obviously an older type just because of the way they look. They've got sort of bits of pebble, the stones in them.
Big aggregate.
Most of them are in very good condition. If some of them do have to get replaced, I'm assuming they're just going to be regular concrete, and you're going to accept that it's going to be patchwork.
You'll have the aggregate stone, and you'll have the smoothed out concrete.
Okay. Also, I'm not, as I said, I'm on Lake Drive. I'm also on the corner of Raymere. The portion of Raymere, we don't have any curbing.
Okay.
As do quite a few houses on Raymere. Does that mean that curbing is going to have to be installed, or will the engineer assess it?
He'll assess it if it looks like it's not going to interrupt the engineering or the profile. They have to crown the road and make sure that there's not unraveling, and so he'll determine if that's required there or not.
And final question, you mentioned these other two meetings, November 1st and November 8th. I'm going away November 1st. I don't get back till November 9th.
So make an appointment to come in.
Through the engineers department?
Yeah, you can do it through our clerk, and he can set something up. Maybe he can be here.
My number.
And meet with you independently if he has to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy your trip. Anybody else related to this ordinance before we... Mr. Geiger? Sure. Come on up.
Sort of, kind of. Yes or no?
I think I'm still Don Geiger. Since you identified me, I guess I am. And I still live at 1108 Grassmere.
Good to know.
Did I hear you correctly that your plan, going in the future, the township is going to assume responsibility for replacing curbing only?
Right.
Okay. Which, in my mind, says, okay, that would be, even if a municipality is doing it, you're not going to do all the curbing in all the township, obviously. It'll be similar to repaving. Am I correct so far?
Mm-hmm.
Which would mean an additional cost to the township.
Well,
okay so far?
No.
No?
Because let me stop you there. Like I said, we have had the same plan for about 10 years as far as our capital improvement budget portion, where we include the $2 million a year for roads and capital improvement projects to 2.1. We try to keep it consistent. It's the only way to stay ahead of it. so we don't have deteriorating buildings, roads, etc. So that'll just be factored in on the $2 million. We might get one less road out of it.
Okay.
Okay,
So
but
it'll be
the number will
factored
be the
in,
same.
if I'm hearing you correctly, it'll be factored in to the capital improvement budget, taking the assumption, we want to be careful about those,
Go ahead.
that you're successful in that proposal of the township taking responsibility for it.
Yep.
Am I hearing you correctly?
You are.
Good, I'm glad.
Good.
That's it for now.
All right.
But
Thank
I'll
you.
be back.
We'll be here. Okay, anybody else as to ordinance number 2302? You wish to be heard on that ordinance? Are you in the assessment district? About 2302? No, that'll have to, you have to wait then. This is just germane to this ordinance. They're all in the assessment district it pertains. Come on up. Jackie, come on up. Come on up, come up, come up.
Why not?
No, because I may be in the assessment
Identify
district
yourself,
at some
Jackie.
point. Jackie Wenzel, 610 Deal Road. Is this typical in all townships that people have to pay for? This is the first home I've ever owned, so I'm asking. I know, if I did have a sidewalk, which I don't, it would be my responsibility to shovel it if it snows and fix it if someone could trip and fall in front of my house. But in terms of like city or state roads going through and improvements and then new sidewalks being put in, I would imagine that the city or state would pay for that.
So the county pays for theirs, state pays for theirs, and municipalities, there's 566 municipalities. Each one's different. Some don't have an assessment district, some do curbs, some do sidewalks, some do both. So it's different in each town. Every municipality is different. It's not uniform throughout the state.
But a lot of towns have this procedure, and that's why there's a statute directing how to notify the public, but there's a substantial amount of towns that do it this way.
Because, our neighborhood is kind of like a tapestry of different, our township, you go to Oakhurst, it looks different than my street and so on and so forth. And some people might like their old pebbled sidewalk. And if it seems okay to be kind of, not to cause trouble here and start a fight, but just to like bully people into like, you have to do this kind of sidewalk now and we're going to get the guy to do it and you all need it paved, but you have to pay for it.
The engineer would never bully anybody.
But it seems like they're having no choice. And then people that might have a lovely tree in front of their house, not a crummy tree like the other guy has, but the other woman said she has a beautiful tree. And that would kill me if someone came and said then they had to take down my tree, because right now I know we're like really having a deficit of trees in our township. So like I don't understand that you could just take someone's tree because you're deciding they need a sidewalk now.
It's not done that way.
Can you explain it?
If it's in the right of way, and it's tearing up your sidewalk, the township will come, they'll remove your tree at no cost to the homeowner. It's in the
I don't
right
think
of way.
that
It's
one
at
is-
your curb line.
I think I said that. I told them we bear the responsibility.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're going to get through the ordinance. If you have more questions, Jackie, you are welcome to come back up. Okay. Somebody please make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2302, unless there's anybody else.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council Members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, action please on ordinance number 2302
I move that we move on ordinance 2302
and publish according to law.
and publish according to law.
Nice. Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council Members Long.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. At this time, I'm going to invite anybody up to the microphone that has anything germane to township business. Come up and state your name and address for the record. Any complaints, compliments are accepted as well? Anything?
We don't want any compliments, please. Then you don't.
Hi, Jack Burke, 15 Judith Court. All my neighbors' sewers were repaired or whatever they did to them. Mine wasn't.
Mhm.
And I don't know why. Is that something I take up with?
Yeah, go to TOSA. They had mapped
Okay.
out the laterals that they thought were in dire need of replacement. And I know they had some 474 replacements.
Well, what the contractor told me was it's too far away because it's way in the back of my property. And if it gets clogged twice and I get it done the third time, they fix it. So
Better go to a
I'll
meeting.
talk to them.
Yeah, get
Thanks.
over there before we pave. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I heard a rumor that
Name
there
and
was...
address.
A rumor.
Oh, I'm Debbie Delafay from 2 Isel Avenue.
Yes.
I heard a rumor that there's going to be a 19-pump Wawa going in on Deal Road and 35. Is that true?
Well, there's a concept plan for development on the highway property, a commercial piece there. It hasn't come to planning board yet, but when it does, that's where you would have your questions answered.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know.
First time I heard that.
She did say rumor.
Mark Lynch,
Yes, Mark.
405 Lake, Oakhurst. Here's a softball, guys. There are a few of us who've been working in a small group, about a dozen of us, that were interested in a community vegetable farm. Something not to be monetized by the town. Perhaps the Ladison Group, or that would benefit someone other than the town itself. And we're only in the early stages of proposing anything. But one of the things that, since I'm from the Oakhurst section, I was looking at the blighted basketball courts by Fireman's Field. They're not used. There's probably not great demand for them because there's better places and places with lights. And you probably have a decent infrastructure there for a community garden. One of our concerns is that maybe the Chamber of Commerce would be would use its mighty anyway. I don't know if that would be a barrier to that.
The chamber wouldn't get involved, Mark, in that
No.
as an obstacle.
Okay.
No, it would be something, have a little public discussion on, but I've heard from folks before about community garden. I'm all for it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I know you were pretty
Middlebrook
supportive.
Apartments do it, and it's
Yes.
very successful.
Yes.
And Boy Scouts come in once in a while. And I think, I don't know Ladison, but other groups, they've helped churches, synagogues with their
Yep.
with their gardens. So I think it's a great
And I
idea.
think there's so much talent in town and so many civic-minded people. I know a lot of gardeners, a lot of, not me, I stink at it, but
I got a brown thumb too.
yeah. So at any rate, I just thank you, by the way, all of you, for your accessibility. Again, I come here to support Jackie, but you'll be hearing more as our group meets, and maybe we could get access to a particular person to to move it along.
Yeah,
if
come
we-
see me. I've made that
Yeah.
offer to others who have mentioned the
Okay,
garden, but
we'll
it
meet
never
with
got off the
group.
ground.
Maybe we could meet. Oh, yeah, I know. But now we have now we have a group.
Good,
So
cool. Come in, we'll try to find a spot for it.
thanks again.
Good, Mark, thanks for coming. Anybody else? Well, just, Mr. Geiger, there's a gentleman in the back needs. Yes, young man, come on. Yep. No, he's had his 3 turns. You come on. He'll get another one too.
Okay. No doubt.
Hey, Mr. Mayor. Yes, my question is about the.
Name and address.
Oh yes, I'm Devin Goldman on 24 Springhouse Road. My question is about the Toll Brothers development on West Park Avenue.
Yes.
Now, I wanted to know if, when you wanted to do your study on as to how much you felt the developer should compensate the township, if you took into account the cost maybe associated with displaced deer, the decrease in air quality for the district, and all those factors when you wanted to look into what your compensation, your acceptable compensation would be from the developer.
Okay, so as it stands now, there's an ordinance in place, kind of an empirical guideline to what they look for in compensation for the trees and whatnot. We have an environmental commission and a shade tree commission that give reports to the planning board. So really, at that point, when an applicant comes in on an application like that, you're welcome to go to the planning board and then bring up all those issues. We have an engineer and a planner there, and they account for all that. They try to anyway.
Oh, I see. All right, it's just a bit of concern for me because I'm not sure if like there's going to be a lot more deer on the road now. I'll have to worry about seeing more. It's kind of sad when you see all those dead deer on the
Yeah,
roadways.
absolutely.
So I'm just not sure how this will what this will result in at
It,
the
it
end.
displaces them, no doubt. You know, I mean, that's an 80-acre piece, and they're taking about 20 acres of it and constructing on 21 acres, I believe. So sure, that habitat's going to be disturbed significantly.
Yeah, and there's also my concerns about maybe they'll result in flooding, like increase in.
Well, they have to account for that. The planning board, our engineers do the calculations, so any project built is not to negatively impact the area. It's supposed to make an improvement, basically, on its surrounding areas, drainage-wise. So they try to account for all that. But all those questions on any development can be asked and answered at a planning board hearing.
I see.
That's where you would bring that up.
I see. And I suppose it could also be difficult to take into account, like the costs associated with maybe the lack of maybe the effect on air quality that the removal of all those trees might have. I know it felt like my phone was going off every day this past summer. It's like all the air quality alerts that kept happening on my phone. So I was just not sure if there's any way.
It's a real issue. I don't know that there's anything in the state yet where they take that into an account. I think it's on a personal basis. And listen, I got my start on the Environmental Commission before I was mayor and councilman and all that. So it's a concern to me as well. But I don't think there's anything else out there right now. But it's a good conversation to bring up.
Okay. Is there a way that maybe more developments like this will happen in the future? So are there caps as to how much of the township's tree coverage can be depleted?
Yeah, well, there's a what they call a maximum impervious coverage on each in the ordinance, within the ordinance. But you know, no doubt that the developments that are ongoing, ones have been on a tarmac for 5-6 years. I mentioned it to the council that, you know, it's funny, we came in and we got hit with all these applications already started or forthcoming, and you have to deal with them. Can't hide your head in the sand. And you see it coming, and what do you do to combat the tree canopy and all these things that you're mentioning? We have a shade tree fund that's pretty robust. There's over $135,000 in that fund, and I've encouraged the Shade Tree Committee to come up with a reforestation plan. Let's try to, you know, help out our tree canopy that we are losing, and see if we can help the future, you know, our children and their grandchildren enjoy what we've enjoyed.
Yes, I think I did read an article online saying that the developer was going to replant some trees to compensate.
They do a lot of replanting as well, but they also make a significant contribution to this fund, and so we should use that to help ourselves.
I see. Yes.
They actually went above and beyond. I sit on the planning board. They were more than cooperative to provide the minimum requirement for contribution to the township for replacement trees, but then worked with each of the homeowners surrounding the development to compensate them specifically for additional trees.
Okay.
Great.
See. Thank you.
Thank you.
your
Thanks for
questions
coming.
and my concerns. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Hold on, Tom.
Barbara Hudson. I was going to wait till later, but since he brought up Wayside, I'm
Okay.
a little more harsh about this. You know, I've lived there all those years and watched all those trees go down. I would like to comment on the Toll Brothers clear cutting that's taking place, hoping that all of you and residents take a ride up to West Park Avenue to Bound and Green Road to see the drama of Toll Brothers finally beginning to make way for the new senior village. It's a sad and unhappy story in a sense, coming to a kind of conclusion with this new senior village. This property, the last of large developments in Wayside, once covered in trees that have been continuously depleted. As signs tell us, Wayside is the watershed of Deal Lake, once beautiful, and now, along with its tributaries, nothing more than storage pools. Over so much country and farm, Ocean is now classified urban, with 75% of our land given over to medium-density residential. Our tree canopy, with so much of our health and welfare, are reduced dramatically, with only 0.8% barren land, 0.4% agriculture, 7.9% of forests, 1.2% water, and 14.7% wetlands. Are we not an environment in crisis? It would seem Ocean has reached some kind of nadir, as has our country and state along with it, except perhaps a few beautiful havens of the rich, many of whom have made their fortunes off reckless housing development for the rest of us. I say reckless and put the blame more on the running or not running our government, because developers are left to do what they want. earn the greatest profits with one of the best examples, clear cutting. Leaving the scene of the crimes, the cost of their harm is left behind for us at our expense to manage. Traffic, overcrowding, flooding, smog, cesspools they call lake, and other degradations. With such conditions go on, our sense of beauty, happiness, peace of mind, and physical and mental health. We are communities in distress. With developers perhaps being on hard time, scrambling for profits, it might seem they have put their sights on Monmouth County, a once farm and resort and seashore environment, or what is left of it. Riding around, it seems Toll Brothers constructs everywhere. And looking at the transformation of Long Branch, we read the Kushners intend to expand Pier Village down the rest of the ocean, from no one caring about Long Branch's thousands of children being locked more and behind in the old town. Are they not unwelcomed in the playground that is now for wealthy visitors and residents?
Mrs. Hudson, just keep it germane to Ocean Township if you don't mind.
Well, but I want to just say I grew up in Belmar, all right.
I know, we're talking about Ocean.
I can tell you, all right, but I can. It's for with children to be out in the parks and things like that, all right. I mean, it's for children everywhere. I grew up in Belmar, and we had access to the ocean and beaches, a huge asset for us to grow up with a true sense of freedom. I can only imagine how different it must be now for Long Branch and Ocean, the children, all right? Old enough to have been blessed with a wonderful environment, we fear that here in Monmouth County, children are likely to be cursed with its laws. And I'm talking about the whole county now.
Okay.
Sorry. Such greed in the end produces environments like the Bronx. Overdeveloped, overcrowded, unhealthy, ugly.
Marty
and
grew up
unsafe.
over
I
there.
was born in the Bronx.
I think you just
I knew
insulted
that
our
sounds
attorney.
right.
You really hurt my feelings.
I didn't know the Bronx until I went up to the Botanical Garden.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Oh my God!
Gorgeous.
But the getting there, I was shocked. I didn't know where I was. I was really
I would have
surprised.
taken you down some of the side roads. I might have dropped you off.
Oh, boy.
Well, I think Monmouth County is going to be so overdeveloped. And I mean, we're
Could be.
The Bronx.
yeah. All right, we could be the Bronx. All right. Now, old enough to have been blessed with a wonderful environment, we fear that we're going to be the next Bronx, overdeveloped, overcrowded, unhealthy, ugly, and unsafe. Does it have to be that way? Obviously not. We must ask why we have laws that restrain residents from willfully cutting down the ancient trees, why we let builders come in and clear cut. I mean, I don't really quite understand that. We have one more major development on Deal and Highway 35. Obviously, we need a new model, and we propose Ocean Township come up with one. Our trees are sacred, meant to serve humanity, not the greedy. They are not only a beautiful part of a natural environment, they're amazingly efficient machines, constantly working to make Earth a healthier planet. We need to understand that, how trees are making our lives and world, and stop above all clear cutting. Without them, trees that we destroy are called the lungs of the earth to help us breathe more easily. Without them, our homes flood. With retention ponds hardly a real solution. Without them, our soils erode and our water quality deteriorates. Without them, our temperature climbs and our energy bills increase, and more. Trees are good for the economy. So figure that out. Trees are habitats for plants and animals. Trees improve health. They improve mental health. I mean, they have said hospitals, people look out, see trees, get better soon. So, I mean, they reduce crime. Statistics are that in these urban areas where there's terrible environments, crime increases. So, I mean, I think we're facing all that.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you very much. Well done. Very good. Oh. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, anybody?
Hi.
Anybody else?
Can I ask one question, Mrs. Hudson? Yeah, well, just one question. You live on Mahoris Drive? What year was that house built?
68.
1968? What was there before?
Oh, woods.
All right.
But I went to a
That's
great
a silly
deal to
argument.
save those trees. All right, I have a wooded lot. All right, so and we are those developers did one house. And you mentioned that before. They did one house at a time. Right? So nobody came in and clear cut. You know, it was a different time, but I mean, so what? They make a little less profit? These are rich people. They're making a lot of money on us. Why can't we share?
No, I think you made your, Rich just asked a question, you answered, but thank you. You're not on the mic, that's why I'm cutting you off.
But you know another thing, Mr. Long.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come up to the mic, we're gonna continue this.
I take a great deal of exception to your idea that we should all come and have a private talk with the mayor. I mean, that's good. If I had something really very particular, I think we'd better come in and talk to you about it rather than harangue here. But these are public meetings. We live with a public government, not a private government. A private government is part of our problems. So, I mean, it sounds as if you're talking to discourage people coming in and making
I'm going
this
to interrupt
issue.
you because, frankly, I think that's really unfair.
What?
Mr. Long basically said, come in, if you have a particular problem, speak to the mayor, which you just said makes sense. He also encouraged people to come to workshop meetings. I think it's exactly the opposite of what you're saying now.
Well,
he
that's
was
how much-
encouraging people to participate in the entire process.
Well, that's great. I
Okay,
agree.
that's what he
yeah,
did.
as long as we're not in conflict, you know. I mean, it's not a matter
You
of
agree wholeheartedly.
discouraging people to come
No,
up here. And
no, I think he was also,
No.
not that you do it, but some folks tend to go on a social media page and think they can get a problem solved that we don't see. We're not on the
I
social
don't
media
agree with
page.
social media.
I'm just saying neither are we. So if they vent a problem there, how can we help them?
No, that's fine.
Come here and tell me the
But
problem.
you have to be careful, you know, say that this is public. This is a public government.
Absolutely.
That's
We
why
all-
we
I
have
think we all
open
agree, except maybe me,
meetings,
but
you know.
there you go.
Very good.
laws.
Thank you, thank you.
We're very glad to have you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hudson.
Jackie Wenzel, 610 Deal Road. Anyway, I guess what Councilman Long did say, though, to Ms. Hudson, I've had people email me telling me that Deal Road was once a farm.
Mhm.
But I think that is really kind of a ridiculous thing to say because, yes, there has been development and, you know, yes, we live in the neighborhood and we live in homes that were developed on probably trees. But we have reached a maximum point right now. Mayor Siciliano, you had encouraged me to go to the Shady Tree and Environmental Protection. Shade Tree.
is a whole different-
Well, it's a little shady tree
different
now.
meeting.
Tavern,
No, it's
I
just a
think, somewhere
shady
in North
situation.
Jersey. The Shady Tree.
The Shade Tree Commission and Environmental Commission, and it was really interesting. They were, really terrific folks. And
Yeah.
Mary from the who sits on both committees did a wonderful event at the library this last weekend. And I really was sorry that none of you were there because there was so much information that I couldn't possibly communicate it in the same way that everyone in the room did. They're environmentalists. They had a speaker from Rutgers University. They've spent, years investigating this, and things I learned was New Jersey is one of the most densely, developed states in our entire nation.
Right.
New Jersey as a state. Even though obviously New York has a lot of buildings and development, it has so much more green space because of the size of, the mountains, New York, upstate New York. But New Jersey, we don't have that. And as Barbara quoted some of the statistics, it's really getting to be a frightening situation. So when I ask about one tree on a lawn here and there, I feel like we really have to think about that. Because one of the things that came up at the Shade Tree Commission was that we've been trying to get a gold star from Sustainable Jersey, which is an organization, and we can't even. I don't even think we can get a bronze.
We got
because,
one.
Oh, we got a bronze.
Again.
Okay, but we
got it
can't
again
get a
this year.
gold. And the reason is they told us that we should put more trees in. We're missing tree canopy, so we should be replacing it. And because we didn't do that.
Listen to me, and I'm not interrupting. I just want you to understand because I mentioned that we have a robust fund available to do just that. All they need to do is come up, show me a plan, and we'll work on it together.
I know, but they're going to have to plant new trees.
Yes, that's the
Right.
that's the plan.
And
that's how it works.
that takes years to grow.
That's all right. Our children are entitled to have the same
No, I know.
enjoyment that you had.
Right. But what we're really we're really coming to you, and we would like, and I know that you can't make these decisions, Mayor, and I know that we have to go to the planning board, but I feel like when we stand together as a community, which includes you represent us,
Yes.
that you go with the same heart and spirit of your community. And I've been trying to encourage people to come out, and I think there are many more people here than we've had before. And I know more and more people will come, and they watch it on the camera. So, maybe something that's said today, though, I'm going to go and speak more on that the next time. But I just feel like what's happening, people are very fragmented in Ocean Township because they're all the different neighborhoods. But we're trying to get people together. We are doing it on social media because there's two, great platforms there, Ocean Cares and Ocean Rising, and people are getting involved. So, I think we need, what I'd like to do, and I did email you, and I'd love to, because I feel like the Shade Tree Commission, the Environmental Protection Committee, they should be at these meetings. Like, I don't know why we have to go, they're up in this other little room upstairs that nobody gets to hear what they say. That's not.
There's a member of the Environmental Commission who's appointed to the planning board, so they have a representative.
Yes, he was there. He was there.
Reports to the planning board, and they're on the planning board.
I know, but the people that live here in the community, they don't know what's going on with that. And what I had requested, and perhaps we can do this, and maybe we can do it at the high school or we could do it here. I had asked, could we use the projector that was used for the township budget meeting that I had attended at one time? We shut the lights, we put up the screen. That's how it was done at the library, and it's really very impressive, and it is a bit scary because we have Ocean Township is a real call out right now. I don't know why they did the study specifically on us, but they did. And because in the last 5 years or so, it's just been, as you said, Chris, you inherited a lot of deals that were already in place. But since the corner, the 32 acres, that hasn't, closed the deal. I think we have to really seriously, in terms of rezoning it, because you said you're in the process of rezoning it again.
I wanted to clear up, you put some misinformation out there about an old zoning that a former mayor had put in there 2 mayors ago, and that zoning was changed in 2004 by Mayor Larkin. So that old zoning you're talking about no longer exists.
No, the old zoning, excuse me, sorry, but because I have so many papers, at least all the documents that I have that were going back and forth to Governor Christie's office at one time. The zoning of residential on Deal Road and low impact commercial on 35, which they refer to as a professional building. So something like doctor's offices, not to the magnitude of what's being presented today. And that was during Weldon's time.
No.
Well, that's what it says. I mean, I can make copies of it and show you all my letters. And that's what it said. And then it said when the Stop and Shop deal was on the table, Weldon put the commercial overlay.
Okay. No. Then there was an overlay probably to accommodate that shopping center, but that does no longer exist.
Right. You helped us because you were very much against that big development at that time when you sat on the council before you were mayor. Right. And you were one who I really felt helped push that situation that way, and we appreciated that. So then it went from that big overlay to whatever it is now, but now you're saying, at least I believe I heard correctly,
we need to make it.
There's going to be another change.
Yeah, we need to make it back to, and I'm going to tell you why and what. Right now, we're being sued because the owner of the property feels we rendered it valueless for the zoning it's in. Well, I don't feel that way, but he feels that way nonetheless to make it more congruent with the rest of commercial property on the highway. It'll go back to commercial on the highway, the front 13 or 14 acres, and the other acreage will be residential, just like it was in 1965. That will be the zoning. That way it's kind of bulletproof. Somebody wants to come in and develop that way, bring a plan in, we'll take a look at it. The other change I did make to the ordinance, if anything gets developed there, we added in that there has to be a 75-foot buffer on Deal Road, no matter what they build.
Yeah, but they shouldn't take down and replant.
Exactly.
They should leave what's there
If they
because
can,
we need that.
Listen, whoever develops, if they can do that, that'll be great. But 75 foot's it's no longer a buffer, that's a forest.
Oh, I
That's
know.
equivalent to what's on the 17 acres we saved on Highway 35 on the opposing corner that backs up to the Little League field. You see that forest there? That's a 75-foot buffer.
Well, the original zoning, which I know has changed, the commercial part of it was only 13 acres on Deal
Still
Road.
is.
I mean, on 35.
Still is.
So what you're saying is only going to be 13 acres commercial on 35.
And 19 acres of residential. Here's what happened. What you're missing is, I saw your report, 13 and 61. There was the 70-some-odd acres available at the time. Mayor Weldon bought 42 of them.
I know.
So now there's only 19 acres of residential left. He didn't buy the commercial, but he got, for you guys, he got all that stuff. We got human services, the library, the home there that's there, the Eden Willing. I mean, it was unbelievable what a deal it was. But
No, it was great, and
It was
it's a
great.
shame we didn't get more of it because that is an anchor. You know,
ideally, if you
our
could get it
old-
all, would have been great. It didn't
I
happen.
gotta tell you, Jackie, I drove down today, and instead of taking the Parkway like I usually do, I actually just drove down from Hazlet, where my office is, all the way on Route 35. And you get, I mean, Ocean Township has more open land than virtually every other town coming down.
That's why we wanted to move
Well,
here.
no, who else noticed that was COA.
But the,
I'm just saying, we're in a.
bottom, yeah, that's the bad part.
They've given us a
Bottom
number that we
line
have to
is
develop.
That the
kid you
part
not.
that we're talking about now, I mean, if you drive east from this part that they're looking to develop, you have what he just said, the part that Weldon purchased for the town, and then you have Player Park. I mean, that's a huge piece of
I know.
open land.
I know.
And it, I don't think you can say all of Deal Road that's across the street from you should be totally undeveloped. I mean, you have to
Well,
talk about it.
right across the street from me is wetlands, and they said it would never be developed. And when I bought the house in '97, they said all of everything, as you've heard me say a million times, everything that's east of 35 and Deal Road would always be residential. But we were also thinking other homes that like you talk about where the Hudsons live. There are beautiful mature trees there. There was a community built there, but they didn't cut down the trees. There are still very majestic tall trees
like
there.
Mrs. Hudson alluded to, economics unfortunately changed that. Those homes were built for less than $40,000, and construction probably cost a lot less, and they're able to be a little more selective in what they could do as far as taking their time building one home every 5 months.
I know,
Unfortunately,
but what are we in such a rush for? Why do we
We're
have to
not in
plow
any-
down?
Jackie,
Do we have people that
we're
are
in no
homeless
rush.
that we're going to give
No, no.
all these new homes
we're
to?
under
No.
litigation for 12 years. We're in no rush.
Right, so we can continue
However,
if the
we can't
township.
continue. Our attorney will speak on the litigation. We can't continue. Something has to give here.
Well, then we should just pay them and then resell the land to people that have more of appreciation for
Listen,
open space.
If I wish I could sit up here and had the luxury of working with emotion over intellect, because everything I do would be different, but we don't have that luxury. It's a big town to run, and we have to be accountable to a lot of folks. Have
Well,
to
let
use
me tell you
intellect
what
over emotion,
I've said to you
unfortunately,
several times.
and that's not a good plan.
No, what
That's only one piece of land. Every piece of land that somebody wants to develop, there are neighbors like you who go, well, don't develop that, buy that land. Why are you letting that get developed?
We're
So that
talk-
you're just talking about one piece, but there's been 4 or 5 pieces that we've had neighbors saying, well, buy the land. So
We
what
won't
you should
have
do is
any
buy-
we won't have any forest left here, any
We have-
open space like
we-
that. Yes, we have the park.
You have, on the opposite side of Deal Road, that whole open piece of property that's not getting developed. You have.
Because Dave Cockle told me the township
care.
mayor saved that.
I don't
He said
care.
he made sure that was
It-
bought
it
and part
doesn't
of it.
make a
And we need
difference.
more
But it's there.
people on the
Jackie, it
council
doesn't
that
make
feel
a
that
difference.
way.
That's not being developed. And then if you go west on 35, there's a whole big piece of land right across from the Copper Gables building that never got developed, and there's a big sign because the planning board made that reserve when they built the other project there. You got substantial amount of vacant land, more so than virtually every other town along the corridor.
Mr. Arbus, you should have come to that meeting. There is not that much vacant land. When you look at the statistics, I really think, Mayor, we should have a meeting, really, so the community can be invited to the high school to look at the situation as it is. I understand the land has to be sold, but I think it should be sold to a project.
I don't have the luxury of.
But you can zone it.
This is
You can
America,
zone
not
it.
North Korea. I can't tell a guy who to sell it to and how to sell it.
Who
Can't do
controls zoning? So far, every mayor has controlled zoning. Why can't you control the zoning?
Because last time we controlled zoning, we got sued. We're in a lawsuit. We controlled
right.
zoning. We
We're still
rezoned
in
it.
it, so it's okay. The police aren't going to take you
No,
away.
another wrong isn't a right, Jackie.
No, okay, so let me ask another question.
Yes.
What about, the greater, if New Jersey stands out as really in a serious situation, and Ocean Township specifically, there's been a study on, and we do not have enough, drainage, and also I learned so many things, like, not only is it that the water goes into the ground, there's the canopy where all the water is sitting up on the trees, and there's an ecosystem that we are really we're off balance, seriously off balance. So caring about that, you can influence the planning board to reject the specific one that's on because it has a gas station that's has a good potential of polluting.
There's been no application. Nobody has filed an application with the planning board. And as the mayor has said at virtually every meeting, if you have a problem with a project that's filed with the planning board, then you have to go to the planning board.
We will, but we are a community and we need a team and we
You're
need.
talking about something that hypothetically may happen. You don't know that it's gonna happen. We don't know that
No,
it's gonna
let
happen.
me tell you something. I did, because I believe that Chris was very much a similar mindset in terms of the trees and the open space. I know that because he spoke about it before. So I was a little bit, not sitting back. I was busy with my work and didn't really attend as many meetings. I kept up with the Hudsons. And I feel like when I wasn't paying attention, I went down Whale Pond Road one day and there was this gigantic house, which I've also brought up, that was completely out of scale with everything. And I thought, how the heck did that happen?
Go on Ocean Cares and ask there. They have all the answers.
I know, but then I learned.
That was on the zoning board. It wasn't here.
No, but then I heard, right, because I was told that was an extension of an existing house. Now, that's crazy. That was not an extent. That
No, it
doesn't.
was-
That-
There were
but that's what it was zoned as.
three homes were torn down.
Right. So
And
it's
they
not an
took
exact.
them.
So how did that happen?
Ask the zoning board.
How come the planning board doesn't get involved in that?
It's not a planning board. That was a zoning board issue.
Planning board doesn't get involved in a single-family house with variances. Typically, that goes before the zoning board of adjustment.
But it's become a building, really. So it was probably a gray area.
Really big house, but it's a house.
All right, it's probably greater. Then I have another thing. I'm sorry. Again,
No, no
I'm
problem.
speaking for many people that couldn't make it here tonight because of social
That's
media. I
fine.
get these questions come my way. And also this I learned at the Shade Tree Commission was that Deems Market. I guess they were expanding some parking lot. Took down clear cut many more trees than they were really supposed to. Now, how many were they supposed to take down?
I guarantee you that site plan is filed.
Right.
And if they violated the site plan, there's going to be enormous penalty. So go to
Did
the
you
zoning
hear
board.
about it?
Hear what?
That
Did you
the
look?
Dean's, I've gone to see everything except Dean's Market. I went to West Park and Hope, which was really devastating, and I went to see the tennis, which is another thing I want to talk about. I know we can make another appointment about it, but I'm like on fire because everybody's emailing me, and I'm like, oh my God, what is it? I'll go see. So I get my car, put my dog in the car, and we go. So the thing is that I heard that she took down, or Dean's or whoever took down many more trees, and we all, as brought up here, we have I think 3 trees in a year we're allowed to take on a property. How this clear cutting was allowed, and if it was, I would think they should get some type of fine to.
Jackie, the planning board approved a plan for Dean's Market to expand. To the mayor's point, until you have proof that they did what you said they did, and bring it up to our.
I'm asking if you know the answer because it just came.
Right. Slow down. You said you heard something.
I did.
Okay, let's not go with rumors.
But I heard it at the Shade Tree Commission. That's our commission. I didn't hear it at the supermarket.
Did they see it? Did they see it?
I guess so. Yes. One of the women
What they should
lived
do,
there.
Hold on, Jackie. What they should do if they're concerned is go tomorrow, call up the town, and have them do an investigation on it and see if they're meeting the plan.
Well, that's why I'm asking the mayor. I thought perhaps that happened already. I'm
No,
clearly
what happens
frustrating
is-
all of you. Sorry.
What happens is when you're doing any kind of expansion or building or anything like that, just so you know the process, you have to get a permit. And when you're given the permit, we have a building inspector that goes out to the site and says, okay, these are the plans that were approved. This is what was allowed. And you have to stick to the plan. You can only do what's allowed here. If
Right.
you want to amend it, you have to come in for a site plan amendment.
Right.
So
Did they do that?
They didn't come in. Well, no. They followed the plan, obviously, or they would not have been given a permit. If they've taken down any more trees than was on that plan, and you think they did, we can have that reviewed to
I
see.
was told at the meeting.
Well, they
Yeah,
know,
but-
the people at the Shade Commission know
I don't
who's
know.
on the board, they know who our officials are, and they can contact
And ask.
someone. You don't even have to do it, but if they're concerned that the plan wasn't followed, they contact somebody in the town who deals with that issue. They know who they are, and they'll follow up on it.
And
Can
there's
I ask you, who
any
does the
fines.
Shade Tree Commission report to?
The zoning office, basically the planner, community development, like where Mary Ann's old position, Ron Kirk has that position now. So they would really give their reviews to the planner and/or engineer, or any of their comments to them as well. And if they have a question, they can always go.
Does it ever
to-
get to you, if there's
No.
problems? Okay.
I mean, things like this, you know.
Okay. All right, and then my last
They-
and
and they're
final,
welcome to
my
tell
last
me.
and final, my last and final question is,
There's other people, I know Mr.
It-
Geiger, we have to wake him up, but he wants to.
I hope so. Okay, my last and final is, it came to my attention that the tennis court, I heard that we were doing a new tennis facility, which I always like old fashioned. I liked our little fenced in one in front of the pool, but,
We're still gonna have that.
well, there's a giant, like, big,
We're building new outdoor courts.
Building.
We're building new outdoor courts as well.
okay. Is it true?
Probably
Did
not.
we sell a green open space
No.
to build
No.
that? No.
Absolutely not.
Okay, that was always private.
We still own the land. They lease the land. We're gonna also probably take ownership of the building as well. That's part of the structure of the deal. They're just gonna operate it. They have leases to operate it.
So that big structure I see will go away. They're just working underneath it
No,
now?
that structure is gonna be an indoor facility that's privately operated.
But it covers, it like trumps the whole pool. Like you can't even see the pool now. When you're driving up, you
Pool's
see
nestled
that
back there.
massive. Everything that's being built around here now is like supersized me. It's so big, you know?
But they didn't take one tree down to build it.
No, okay.
I'm
That's
just
it for
saying, they
tonight.
didn't.
So can you make a date that we can have an environmental meeting and then we can invite the community to look at the statistics for Ocean Township, or do they have to all seek and find that on their own?
I don't know, that's a whole nother like general meeting that you want for, and I'm trying to think of what the real purpose is to.
Well, it would have been good if more people knew about the library.
We-
Though
we tried-
I know you
Jackie.
publicized it. I know.
announced it for 2 or 3 weeks, or
I-
2 or
I
3
know.
meetings I've announced.
Did you see it? Because was all film. It was on film.
I haven't had a chance. I had got
Maybe-
a lot
Well, the
of
people
things.
who are watching this over the next week, those 10 people, will actually, they'll be able to see whatever's for them.
I think more people are watching it now.
Viewership of.
I think so.
9.
Up to 11, Marty.
It's up to, yeah, I think our numbers are up to
Okay,
18
wow.
or 20. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna let you all go.
Someone else.
No.
Wait, let Mr. Geiger.
He's giving me 5 minutes.
timing her.
Yeah, right.
Five.
I
We're
just
gonna
want-
start timing everybody.
Listen.
People limit people to 5 minutes for the whole meeting.
5. I'll come. Give
We
me
have to
5,
go to
I'll come
Asbury
back.
Park has a
Listen,
3-minute clock. You
I
get
wanna
one bite
talk-
of the apple, 3 minutes.
What about clear cutting? Martelli went in there and clear cut. Nobody stopped him. Nobody was watching. I mean, these people come in and clear cut.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, Mr. Garofalo sat there and said, "Oh, he felt sympathy for Mr. Martelli because that was a huge project, and it turns out to be a very nice development." All right.
Oh.
So but clear cutting. What about it? Nobody's watching.
We're
I
absolutely
mean,
want
developers are
Mrs.
allowed to do
Hudson.
what they want.
That's an insult. How dare you say that?
Well, they didn't watch him. I mean,
They watch
we
them,
turned
and
around-
listen, you can watch somebody, you can't drive the bulldozer with them. I mean, if in fact
Where
that
are
happens.
our inspectors? I
They're
mean,
there.
we're going to have a.
They're upstairs, they're on the job
If
there. They
you're
go and they turn around.
A
and-
developer comes in.
Yeah.
You know that he's going to cut things down. You're there watching. I mean,
Okay.
and
All
it's
right.
not being done.
Okay.
They do.
Mr. Geiger, did you want to speak? Well, get up. Let's go.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
You know what? It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
You're going to say something nice. Say something nice, because I feel like...
L'chaim.
There you go. Like, no, L'chaim. You got to do it. Let's go.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
Okay.
Anyway, since everyone's talked about it, I won't repeat myself about the enclave. The only thing have you had a chance to drive by there?
Yes, I go by every single day.
Every single.
Yeah, it's dramatic that you see the tree that was there down. I understand that.
Okay. And the only thing else I want to say is, it seems to me, now they may be required to plant saplings, and true, they will take a time. Maybe our kids or their kids will see trees. I think they should be also required to try and plant, with the root ball that older trees, more mature trees. Now, you're not going to have a redwood.
Have you seen their site plan?
No.
On it are significant plantings around the entire property, Mr. Geiger. You should check it out.
Okay.
And there are with huge balls included, not just saplings. So saplings, I mean, they're going to give a contribution to the Shade Tree Committee for a lot, but there's significant planting. There's a big detailed plan, and you guys should check it out.
Okay, I should. You're right. Now, last but not least, well, two things, not the last. Did you see Sunday's Asbury Park Press at all? Because they did
Maybe.
a pretty sizable article on pollution and the cause, the contributing cause, in many people's estimation, to fatalities due to long nishes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it broke it down by country. Interesting enough, even though China had like 2 million some odd people because of their pollution, the percentage-wise was higher in some African
It's a
countries.
huge country.
Yeah.
Huge.
But the bottom line is that many factors contribute to this. And while they may have done this study on Ocean Township, I don't know. I didn't Shakespeare Commission, and why they did Ocean Township, I have no clue. I think we're doing the best we can for that. What that's worth.
I appreciate
Because if we
that.
don't own the property, we can't dictate who
Right.
it's sold to. We can't dictate what someone might want to do. They have,
Right.
as you said.
Not in this country.
Well, we could try, but it
We
won't
could
work.
try.
And my last thing is a shout out to Nancy, who's back, and Mary, two great employees
Great.
of the township.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
I have to comment. We can't dictate about our environment. Who's dictating? Who's dictating? Who's controlling our environment? Developers. All right. So, it's such a phony thing to talk about democracy when you have these powerful groups determine, and we can't do anything about it. That's not democratic.
Thank you. Thank you. You can, and for the amount of money they're paying, they might run you down. I'm afraid. But thank you for your comments. I appreciate them. Anybody else? Oh, Mr. Hudson, sure.
Good
Go
luck,
ahead.
Mrs. Hudson.
Just right. Oh no, not from the back. From the front.
That's fine.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
She did it again.
Thank you, Mayor. Fred Hudson, Mahoris Drive. Just two short informational questions. On the affordable housing on Cindy Lane, at one time I understood that was going to be 100%
Yeah.
affordable. Is that still the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
48 units affordable.
Okay, thank you very much. On the situation of the Rock Arbor suit to flee the Ocean School District, are we any closer to a decision on that?
As each day goes by, we're closer to, not necessarily a decision. Thank you very much. As each day goes by, we're closer to getting an oral argument before an appellate court, which hasn't been set yet. But your guess is as good as mine as to when that argument will be, and then when that will be followed by the court rendering a decision. As I said, I think before, in my mind, February, March, we're talking a ways away.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes. Come on up from.
So close.
That's all right.
And you're so far away.
Take your time. Just hand her the mic, Mrs. Hudson. I think that's fine.
Hi. Hi, Jackie. I'm Linda Natanagara.
What's her name?
Linda
Finally.
Nattagara.
8 Copperfield Court. So I sometimes get the sense, well, first of all, that my husband works in academic administration, educational administration, and I know firsthand or secondhand, people are like, why don't they just? And I know things are much more complicated. So it's, it's very easy for all of us to say, why don't they just? And I realize. So that being said, I do feel sometimes like the people who care deeply about the environment, and I don't know each of you, but the time has come. I mean, I can't, things are, okay, I can't say it because it's a swear, but things are getting bad, and it is time, it is seriously time, because with each development comes loads of fertilizer. I mean, it's just, we're not tree huggers, and I think that I would really like to not feel so much like we're being condescended to sometimes. And I'm not going to point to any one person, but I think it is a very serious issue for our children and our children's children. And I think the pollution that is going to flow into Poplar Brook from the 35 I think these are all real concerns, and they're not
Absolutely.
just because we want to dance around to the Grateful Dead.
No, it's tremendous
But that's
impact.
not a bad idea.
It is not, and I might go home and do that.
Well, tomorrow night you can do it at Convention Hall. Phil Lesh will be there.
Yeah. And there was something else, and then I forgot what it
I'll
was.
be
But
there.
I just did want to really, you know.
No, Linda, and I hope you don't come across as condescending. Really don't mean to do that. And I think sometimes we try to point out to folks it's the dichotomy of the balance that we have to appear do, because Jackie knows I'm an environmentalist. She knows that. I started on the Environmental Commission, but I can't bring my personal feelings up here. We can try to limit what we can, but there's rules you have to follow, there's laws, and even the developers are entitled to the benefits of the Constitution. So there's limits to what you can do. And we've tried zoning to make things, we want minimal impact, less density. We want all these things. But there's limits to what you can do. And Mr. Arbus will share with you, we're in a very difficult lawsuit right now over certain properties. I wish we could save every tree, I really do, but I don't know that that's going to happen. We can replant. We do have a very robust fund, like I said, and folks like yourself and the Shade Tree Committee come up, and I'll help you. We'll find spots where we can really maybe improve our canopy going forward to help offset some of the impact that's happening to the environment. But it is real.
So
I even invited the top environmentalist to come here 2 weeks ago, and he came. Mr. Gore.
Oh, yes. Oh, I saw you there. That's right.
He took me up on my offer, and he showed up.
So my other question is, because I'm not educated in the ways of municipalities, and I think a lot of people have a lot of passions but are also not educated in the ways of municipalities, is people say it all the time, and it's a word they like to throw around, and I don't really want, I would like to take my answer off the air, or I would love it for you to write something, but you keep talking about ratables. Well, we keep getting ratables, and my taxes keep going up, and really...
Imagine if we didn't get them.
So, well, I don't know. I would love
would be a lot.
somebody to write on Ocean Cares. Really, what is a rateable? Seriously.
We're not on Ocean Cares. I don't know.
Well,
if any of these-
whoever. It would be
That's
being
not
educated.
an authorized township site. I could write
The
something.
township site would be good.
I think I put something up there as far as taxes, ratables, and impact, and if it gets shared, it gets shared, but I can do that again. But we're not governed by ratables. I just want you to understand that. That doesn't impact our decision on everything. I think it's important that the 27,332 people understand the impact of, if you're to buy up a property that's yielding a healthy tax, and then you buy it and you create a bigger tax on your end, you lose that tax.
Right.
Then you lose the potential build-out tax, which could really help. What we're trying to do is stabilize taxes. Let's face it, we live in New Jersey.
Right.
The costs aren't going down, but we can negate them. We've had a pretty good record of keeping our municipal portion of the taxes static. Now you hear people whose values went up so dramatically, we can't even help that. It's a good bad thing. It's great that your property value went up. It's terrible that you have to pay tax on it. I wish there was another solution. But that being said, we're not driven, we're motivated by that. I'm happy the way that property is. It's yielding property tax empty. If we were to buy it, it wouldn't yield anything. We'd be in a deficit, of course. You have to make that up somehow. I'm okay with coming up with an idea for that. I'm just saying we can't come up here and emotionally say, here's what we would want to do, because we're open or vulnerable to another lawsuit. And by doing that, it doesn't help the public. We don't serve them that well. We're not here to run the town. We're here to serve the town. And I think we'd be doing a disservice by making decisions like that would put you in harm's way.
So I think I would really second that, to really have another gathering, if possible, about the environmental impacts, and maybe, there are a lot of very progressive, knowing young people now who are in architecture school and planning and development, there are a lot of very progressive methods being applied to development that I think...
Are you saying to that site?
I don't know if they are.
No, I'm just saying, because anything germane to that site going forward has to come up at the planning board, and that can happen there.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to bring up their...
I think that, if we could turn maybe a more progressive eye to some of this development would also be...
But like I said, I think I mentioned it, I don't know if you were here, I know you came in late. We can't dictate to the current property owner how to develop it. We could. There is one mechanism we could do, and it's very costly, and it's a redevelopment zone. If we call that a redevelopment zone now, the school, the town, nobody gets any taxes for 20 years. You take that off the tax roll at the risk of telling them this is specifically what we want you to build if you must build there. That could be challenged also.
Okay.
So but it is the only mechanism as far as dictating what to do.
It's complicated.
It's
I
complicated. We
understand.
can't tell somebody
I
how to spend $10 million.
Right. So thank you all. I know you all want to get home, so
No, got
thank
plenty
you
of
for your
time.
time.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Just sitting here and no one. Someone make a motion to close.
I'll make a motion. I'll take it.
Second?
Second.
Deputy Mayor Chair.
Yes.
Council members Long.
Yes.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, thank you all for coming. We adjourn. We air twice a day, 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Channel 22 if you have files, and 77 if you have cable vision. Good night, all.